everyone, it's Angela Allen. Welcome back to the Handmade Homestead and Garden. As you can see behind me, there's still quite a bit of snow outside, and I am in my sunroom, though it's not very sunny at the moment, because I want to show you something that I have become just an absolute convert of in the last couple of years, and we're going to talk about this today because I have some seedlings that need to be up potted, and frankly, this is the way to do it. But today, we're going to talk about everything that you need to know about soil blocking. Let's go. Those of you who know me know that I do my best to reuse, reduce waste products, and repurpose things I already have as much as possible. So when it comes to potting up seedlings, starting seedlings in the spring, those kinds of things, I try to reuse stuff. And you can see on the back there, behind me on that plant stand, there's all of these solo cups in different colors because I use them and I reuse them as I need to, but they do break down over time, especially if they're in the sun and you know that your seedlings are always in the sun. The same thing goes with these kinds of things. These trays, these are the standard 10 by 20 trays. This is a doubled tray because frankly, I never think they're strong enough to use them one at a time, but over time, they always seem to break right here on the corners and start leaking, and you have to double them up anyway, and they never last long. I know there are some really great gardening companies out there like Bootstrap Farmer and Epic that make their own trays that are much sturdier, but frankly, they're kind of expensive, and that's fine because they do last for a really long time. But for me, I'm apt to use stuff like this. I mean, I think this had chicken in it and pork ribs in it, and this is a tofu container, but all of these things will hold, because they're an inch and a half anyway, will hold soil blocks, and soil blocks are cheap and easy to make. Once you buy the tool, which isn't very expensive, I'm going to show you about that in just a second, you'll find that you can make soil blocks and use pretty much anything as trays. And to be honest, these are much tougher than even doubled one of these. So let's take a look at the soil block tool, and let me tell you the ins and outs and about it a little bit so you'll know what to look for when you buy one for yourself. It is a great way to save money in the garden, and it is a tool that will literally last you probably the rest of your gardening time. So let's get into that. So this is a soil block tool. It's just a metal frame. It has these squares. This happens to be the 2-inch size, and you can see that from here. So to use one of these, you literally just use it in very, very wet soil. You pack the soil into the bottom, and then when it's packed and you go to place this into your tray, you literally put it in the tray and you push down and it deposits the block. And you see there's like a little nipple here. This leaves a depression in the top of the block, and that's where you put your seeds. Now I have the smallest depression on there. I'll tell you about that in a second too. And yes, these are known for being very noisy, but they work, and you just wash them off and you keep using them for almost a lifetime. So that little nipple on the bottom, those come in 3 different sizes. Sometimes when you buy this machine, they only come with the one size. So look for that because the other sizes are important too. Ooh, big loud squeak. All right, so these are the sizes that mine came with. It came with this size. This is the size that I have on it. It's just about a little more than 1/4 of an inch. Then it comes with a deeper one. These are the depressions that go on the top of the block to place your seeds. And then it comes with this square one. And this one is special for another reason, and we can talk about that. So soil block machines like this do come in different sizes. That was something that I didn't quite realize at first. This is the 2-inch block. You can see by the size of it and the height of it, it's 2 inches. They also come in a 1.5-inch block, and then they come in a really small, maybe 1-inch block. And that's what these squares are for. So if you make your soil blocks in the little tiny, I think they're 1-inch blocks. Let me look at this. It would just say that's maybe 3/4 of an inch, I would say. All right, so if you make your soil blocks in this little size right here, you can make a lot of them and start your seeds. To transplant them up, all you'd have to do is make your bigger block with this on it here instead. And then when you make your blocks, this depression would automatically be in the top of your block, and you would just take your seedling and pop it into the bigger block and it would fit right in there. So if you do a lot, like a huge scale, like you've got a 2-acre farm, you might find that you want to make your seedling starts in this littler block because you can get a lot more seedlings in a tray that way. So for me, that's not a problem because I plant my seedlings in rows. And I know I showed you that in one of my last videos, but I plant my seedlings a lot like you see Charles Dowding do it sometimes. He will take a container like this and make rows this way, label the rows, and make, plant a bunch of lettuce seeds, a bunch of cabbage seeds, a bunch of whatever, beet seeds or whatever. And then he will prick those out and plant them up pot them when they're ready. And the beauty in doing that is you don't end up with any extra holes. All of your seed cavities are going to be filled because you're going to only up pot the strongest seedlings, and you're going to be able to space them out well into that. There'll be none of that, cutting off the weakest seedling or pulling the weakest seedling out. It just makes the other seedling weaker when you disturb the roots. So I like to do that. I like to plant them in short rows, the things that I'm going to up pot, and then up pot the strongest seedlings and grow those on in a soil block. As you can see, this is another one of those recycled trays. I actually took 2 of them. I poked holes in one. You can see some roots starting to come out there. They're definitely due to be up potted. This doesn't have any holes in it. This just holds the extra water. These are 2 different kinds of Swiss chard. If I tip it like that, I know it's not as bright out here as it could be, but it is a very gray day outside. So anyway, I'll be able to up pot these strongest seedlings into soil blocks. These are Swiss chard, and you know how I love Swiss chard. So let's make a few soil blocks and I'll show you how easy it is. All right, first I'm gonna put some gloves on. I don't mind having my hands in the dirt. I like it, but it's very cold outside right now, which means it's very cold in this sunroom. One of my chickens apparently just laid an egg. Anyway, it's so cold in this sunroom that my hands would be too cold in that water. So I'm going to use my favorite potting soil. This is an organic potting soil called Coast of Maine. I've been using it for a long time. I'm going to put some soil in there. All right. Break this up a little bit, and I'm going to go through it a little bit, and I'm going to, any of these big chunks of anything I find in there, I'm going to take out. Coast of Maine is a great soil, but I have found that there are definitely pieces of wood. I would like it better to, I guess I would like it to not have that, but it is what it is. I do love the product. It smells good. It's just really got a lot of organic matter in it, and I've had really good luck with it. So we're not going to wet all of this soil at once because it is a lot. We're just going to wet over here to start with. Now I'm looking for soil that is wet like brownie batter. I'm going to put quite a bit of water in because there's so much soil here, and I can keep adding. We're going to get this all mixed up. So it's nice. I know it looks really soupy now, but there's a lot of dirt in here. You'll be surprised how that, see how it absorbed it. There's so much organic matter in these soil blocks. I do have a little trouble keeping this wet enough when I've got seeds starting because it has so much organic matter. Once it gets wet, it does pretty good. I apologize for that chicken. Underneath my sunroom, I'm actually about a story up. It's almost a second floor deck out here and sunroom off of my kitchen. So those chickens love to spend time right underneath this deck. All right, now can you see how it's looking more soggy? It's not quite dripping, but it almost wants to. Now we're not going to hurry this process. We're not going to hurry this process because I want this to absorb as much water as it wants to absorb before I start making my blocks, because dry blocks do not hold together, but wet blocks hold together really well. All right. The other thing you can do is you can always let it sit for a little bit too. Just in the same way you'd auto-leaf bread, you're gonna let this really absorb the water. But this looks pretty good. You want it to hold the depression in the middle for the seed too. So, and in this case, we're just going to put little seedlings in those depressions. And as long as it's wet, I'll be able to make them bigger. All right. There we go. You can see how when you look in there, you can actually see water. Now this water is going to start going that way. So we're going to fill this up. We're going to push it in, and you want to push here, not on the plunger. Get this as full of dirt as you can. These are pretty wet. Might be too wet, but it does look like my soil blocks are pretty full, but you can see if I push on them, there's still room for more dirt in there, especially in this one. And my water, I have quite a puddle of water there, so I probably should put some more dirt in it. All right. I'm gonna push that in so you can see. The 10 by 20s are perfect because they fit. If you move it over in the corner, you'll be able to put another row of blocks this way. So we're gonna put that there. We're gonna push this down. And pull up on the metal, and I should get, one didn't want to come out. This one broke off a little bit, but it's going to be just fine. I'm okay with that. You just push down firmly, and this comes up. And this one block on the end, I've noticed this one block on the end keeps kind of getting stuck, but it's okay. I can work with that. I don't have to, it's not about perfection. It's about getting the work done and it working for you. So let's get some more mixed up, and we'll give this another try. This is a little bit drier this time. Let's see if that works better for me. And then I am pushing down on the plunger, but you have to pull up on the bottom piece. Yeah, well, that was better, but it's not, they're not perfect, but they're perfectly usable. So that's what I'm going for. I'm not looking for perfect. I'm looking for perfectly usable. And that's a whole different thing to me. As long as I get blocks that I can plant in, they're going to hold together enough for my seedlings, I'm good. So why soil block? Other than it does help you to use your resources better. You don't have to buy pots every year. You don't have to upgrade your pots. You don't end up with all this extra plastic pieces and broken pieces in your garden and that kind of thing too. It's also really, really good for your plants. And if you look at, there's a lot of videos online that show people who plant in regular pots or plant in peat and then plant in, a soil block that they've made with some compost and all of that. And the number one factor for things doing good is the natural air pruning ability you get from a soil block. Once your plant starts growing into this soil block and filling its roots up into there, your roots never end up spiraling around the plastic pot like if you used a standard pot with holes in it, where, you pull the plant out and the roots are just kind of wrapping around because they've become root bound so quickly. Well, it doesn't really happen in a soil block. Once the roots get to the edge of the soil, they just kind of air prune right there and they stop. And then they put their energy into other roots within the root ball. Now, if they're close together, like these soil blocks are right here, they can grow into the next soil block over. That's true. But they're still not wrapping around. They're kind of going straight into the next soil block over, and you're just going to tease those apart when you take the soil blocks apart. And if you don't leave your plants in there for too long, it's not too big of an issue anyway. So that air pruning, combined with the extra oxygen, combined with the extra soil mass and the food that provides those seedlings as they get going, really is going to give you stronger, healthier, more developed seedlings that when you put them out into your garden, they don't have to worry about the roots that have gone around in a circular motion or just matted at the bottom. Those roots that air prune to this side of the dirt are ready to grow right into the dirt of your garden as soon as you plant that soil block. And it's a bigger, in this case, bigger amount of dirt too. It's a great way to start seeds. It's a great way to grow out your seedlings. It cuts back on the amount of up-potting time you have to deal with. It does take a little bit more room at this size than it takes if you're using just the little 1-inch plant pots or those, the big 72 seedling trays. But in the long run, you get much healthier seedlings. And yeah, it is definitely takes some strength of your body and some work to make the blocks and some time. But you only really have to do that once. It will save you a lot of time down the road. And once you get the soil consistency right, and I can tell you mine isn't right yet. I need to work that out a little bit better as I get the rest of these blocks made. But once you have the soil consistency right, you can just get these blocks out in no time. They're pretty darn fast. In the amount of time it takes you to up pot one seedling, you could do a row of 4 blocks. So it's really a good system. Now, the cons to it that I noticed is that it can dry out. The soil can dry out quickly, and it's really important that you keep them not just moist, but pretty wet so that the blocks hold their shape and they don't get super dehydrated and start pulling water away from the seedlings that are there. Now, depending on where you start your seedlings, that could be a problem if you don't water them once or twice a day even. And I'm looking at twice a day most of the time. My seed starting setup in the house has really big lights on it. The lights go the entire length of each 3-foot section for each, rack. And because of that, I have to water it quite frequently. I keep the lights close to the plants. I back them up as I need to, but they do dry out quickly. I have noticed that. Now, that could be a problem with just this soil. I don't know for sure. I do think that this soil could certainly stand like a little extra vermiculite or something to keep it more moist than it seems to be. It does seem to dry out quickly. And again, I can't tell you for sure if that's my lights or if it's this soil, because frankly, I just buy this soil. It's convenient. I like it. It's organic. And I can get it really close by at my local Agway. So you'll have to kind of figure that one out for yourself. But yeah, I'm going to get back to making some of these blocks, get some blocks made, and we'll get some things transplanted. So I'll see you in a few minutes. Well, I ended up moving inside because, frankly, it was so cold outside, my hands were getting numb. But as you can see, this rack is done. For the last 2 down there, I just filled 2 spaces on the block maker and then just popped them out, just the 2, so that I could fill the whole tray. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, probably 49. There's one missing here. Not really enough room, but that's fine. So this 49, but normally a tray like this would hold 50 if you get your blocks lined right up. As you can see, some of my blocks came out absolutely perfect. Some of my blocks lost a little bit of their top space, but it's okay. It's all good. They don't have to be perfect. They just have to hold their shape. This tray is done. I'm going to do some more because I've got several things to up pot, and then these will be good to go. Again, not the first time I've done this, but I haven't been doing it for long. So this is definitely a learning curve, but it's an easy learning curve and you can still use your mistakes. So no worries there. Well, thank you for joining me today. Well, we talked about soil blocking, made some soil blocks, and did a little up potting of our early spring planting. I can't wait to get out in the garden. I can't wait for the snow to go away and to get out there and start getting some stuff done. If you find this content enjoyable, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps us so much with the algorithm. And as always, we are actively trying to grow this channel. I'm going to put another video up here for you that you might enjoy. And I'll see you next time. Take care.